There's a certain kind of pain that we don't talk about, the kind we tuck away quietly, even from ourselves. It's the memory that feels too sharp, the emotion we keep rationalizing, the ache we explain away with distractions. We tell ourselves we've moved on, that it wasn't that bad, that other people have it worse. We laugh it off, busy ourselves, scroll until the feeling dulls. But just beneath the surface, it lingers. Unspoken, unfelt, unhealed. Because facing it feels too big, too heavy, too real. We're afraid that if we open the door, we'll fall apart, that we won't know how to put ourselves back together once the truth is named. So we don't. We survive by avoiding. We wear masks so well we forget they're even there. And yet, no matter how far we run from what hurts, it finds its way back, through our anxiety, our patterns, our exhaustion. What we won't face, we carry. What we won't name, controls us. Avoidance isn't weakness. It's survival. It's something we learn to do when we're not ready, when our nervous system says, not yet, not safe. And sometimes, it works. For a while. It helps us get through things we weren't equipped to feel at the time. But avoidance can't give us peace, only delay. And that delay turns to disconnection, and that disconnection turns into a kind of quiet suffering that looks like overthinking, numbness, burnout, or shutting down when things get too close. But the truth? You can't heal what you won't admit. Pain doesn't disappear because we deny it, it just moves underground, shaping how we live, how we love, how we see ourselves. Healing begins when we stop pretending we're fine. When we stop running from what we've buried. When we whisper the truth even if our voice shakes. Not to hurt ourselves. Not to relive it. But to reclaim our power. Because what you refuse to name will always control you from the shadows. And you deserve better than that. Unacknowledged pain doesn't vanish, it mutates. It weaves itself into your daily life in subtle but heavy ways. It shows up when you snap at someone you love over something small, or when you can't feel joy even during moments that should make you smile. It hides behind your constant busyness, the way you fill your days with tasks and distractions just to avoid sitting with the weight inside you. It's in the tightness in your chest you can't explain, in the restlessness that keeps you up at night, in the numbness you feel when someone asks, "Are you okay?" and you don't even know how to answer honestly. You might look fine on the outside, productive, functional, even cheerful, but underneath, something is unsettled. And you can't quite name it, because you haven't given yourself permission to look that deep. You've been in survival mode for so long that discomfort has become your default. And the longer you avoid naming what hurts, the more it bleeds into everything else. Avoidance doesn't mean you're weak, it means your pain was never given a safe place to land. But avoidance isn't neutral. It builds. The emotions you suppress don't just disappear, they wait. They wait for the quiet moments, the triggers, the times you're too tired to keep holding everything down. And they always return, heavier than before. They start to shape your self-worth, your relationships, your ability to trust. You begin to doubt yourself, to disconnect from your body, to feel either too much or nothing at all. And none of it is your fault, you learned to cope the only way you knew how. But now it's time to unlearn. To feel. To begin again. Say it softly if you need to, avoiding it hasn't made it go away, it's just made it heavier. And then say this, too, there's nothing weak about feeling deeply. In fact, it might be the bravest thing you'll ever do. Telling yourself the truth is one of the most radical, courageous things you will ever do. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It happens in quiet moments, maybe when you're staring at the ceiling in the dark, maybe when your breath catches in your throat for no reason, maybe when something small breaks you in a way that feels much too big. And in that moment, you finally let yourself say it, this hurts. This happened. I'm not okay. Not because you're giving up, not because you're trying to fall apart, but because you're tired of lying to yourself. Because holding it in has become heavier than facing it. Because pretending you're fine has started to cost you pieces of yourself. Telling the truth isn't about assigning blame or dwelling in pain, it's about making space. It's about creating a home inside your body for your own honesty. It's about finally stepping out of denial, not to suffer, but to breathe again. There is a strange kind of power in those words, I'm not okay. Not the performative kind of power, not the strength people applaud because you're still smiling while breaking. I'm talking about the quiet, sacred kind of power that rises when you stop running from yourself. When you stop needing to be okay all the time just to be worthy of your own compassion. That moment you tell yourself the truth, the real truth, is the moment healing begins. Because you cannot mend what you won't admit is hurting. You cannot care for wounds you won't acknowledge are bleeding. Naming your pain is not weakness. It's not self-indulgence. It's not regression. It's reclamation. It's you saying, this happened to me. This lives in me. And I get to tell the truth about it. That is not falling apart. That is rising, slowly, softly, honestly. And it's where your freedom begins. Healing doesn't happen by running from what hurts, it happens when you finally stop and make space for what's been asking to be felt. The grief you tucked away. The anger you swallowed. The shame that clings quietly to your skin. The fear you've been walking with like a shadow. You don't need to drown in it. You don't need to fix it in one night. But you do need to face it, softly, safely, without judgment. Sit with it like you would with a child who's scared, not because they've done something wrong, but because they've carried too much alone. You don't have to explain your emotions. You don't need to rationalize them. You only need to let them exist. Because feelings don't grow louder when you let them out, they grow louder when you trap them inside. What you allow yourself to feel, you give yourself permission to heal. And what you avoid, it waits, quietly building. So take a breath, right here. Let the wave come. It will pass. And you will still be here, softer, clearer, more whole. Close your eyes for a moment. Bring your awareness to your body, the place that's been storing everything you didn't have time to process. Scan from head to toe. Where is the tension? Where is the tightness? Place your hand gently over your heart or your belly. Feel your breath, not to change it, just to notice. You are safe to feel now. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to say, this hurts and I don't know what to do with it. Emotions are messengers, not threats. They don't come to destroy you. They come to free you. But only if you let them move through. You can't heal what you won't let yourself feel. And tonight, in this moment, you are making space. Not because you're broken, but because you're brave. Because your feelings deserve a voice. Because you deserve to be felt fully, deeply, honestly, and still loved. Healing rarely happens in one big, dramatic moment. It happens in layers. In small, quiet truths you start to let yourself feel without flinching. In the way you admit to yourself, I'm not okay, and stop trying to rush through that admission. In the softness that follows when you realize healing isn't about fixing, it's about witnessing. It's about returning. It's about finally listening to the parts of yourself you used to silence. You don't have to unpack everything all at once. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to make it all make sense before you start. You only need to be honest with yourself, gently, consistently. That honesty is a doorway, not a wall. Not something to be afraid of, but something to walk through, one breath at a time. And with each step, you become a little more free, a little more whole, a little more you. So if you're still in the beginning stages, still holding your truth with shaking hands, know this: you're already doing the hard part. The part most people never even get to. You're facing what's real. You're daring to look inward instead of away. And that is everything. You don't need to know where this road leads yet. You don't need to have all the answers. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to not know what healing looks like and still begin. Say it to yourself softly, like a promise: I am strong enough to face what's real. Say it again: I am worthy of healing. Because you are. And every step you take in truth, even if it's small, even if it's slow, is sacred. Let your healing be messy. Let it be tender. Let it be yours. You don't have to figure it all out. You just have to keep telling the truth. That's where the light gets in.